Citizen Sleeper. What now? Stuff I'm working on. It's true I'm working on that. I'm also working on this. I could complete this one if I wanted to, one segment to go. Yeah, I'm doing it. What we got? This time you meet inside Rabia's office, although now that you've seen it, office seems like the wrong term. You find her stood in an almost bare, shadowy unit midway through a sequence of stretches. There are two low stools and a terminal in the corner, but it seems that most of the space is taken up by a heavy punching bag, rubber matting, and a stack of weights. When Rabia turns to greet you, you realise she's missing an arm. The prosthetic she usually wears is set in a cradle near the terminal, a web of coloured wires running to it. Update, she says, noticing you looking where her artificial arm usually is. Nothing to worry yourself with. Sorry, of course. Sit, says Rabia, gesturing to the two diminutive stools. You both settle on the stools, Rabia crossing her legs on top and sitting straight back. Jaya told me you have been doing the rounds, collecting teeths, patrolling the board, she smiles. Some of the enforcers are impressed, and I hear you handled a few difficult circumstances. Nicely done. I wanted to help. I wanted to see for myself. And you did. She closes her eyes for a moment. I hope you can see how things work here now. A strong yet again means a strong blow end. Both are woven into each other. I know that for you, life on the eye has been a struggle, but I hope we can do something about that from here onwards, though some of our members may not see it this way. I know you, too, are a refugee. She looks at you solemnly. That is why you have come to us. Enough, Rabia. Sabine's voice cuts through the conversation. I'm tired of listening to your affected nobility. They cross the room, Rabia's baton in their hand, the end lit with sparkling electricity. Rabia looks between the two of you. I suppose this ambush was another cooperation between you two. She looks strangely unfazed. No, they are acting alone. Yes, stay silent. Sabine pauses, thrown off for a moment by your renunciation. Rabia takes this opportunity to act. She leaps from the stool and, fainting past Sabine, grabs the baton and twists it inwards. She is by far the stronger, and she pushes Sabine to her knees, plunging the crackling end of the baton towards their chest. They freeze there, Sabine struggling to keep the crackling baton from their skin. Stop. Stay silent. Then you support them, Rabia asks you, her eyes not leaving Sabine. Your loyalties are so easily swayed. I thought you were more than Yannick's attack dog, Rabia. Sabine spits back. Are you not able to think for yourself? Rabia holds the baton strong, and for a moment you think she is about to hammer it down into Sabine's chest, but after a painful wait, she throws Sabine down instead, then spins the baton in her hand, thumbing a switch and shutting it off in a single move. Now what? Rabia, explain. They both look at you, each still catching their breath, as if they have forgotten about your presence. Explain what? How the moment I call my enforcers will come down here and take them away. Rabia cracks her neck. You are lucky I didn't kill you. I would have had every right, every right. She shouts, the anger a release of tension more than a threat. Sabine lifts himself a little bruised from the fall. They roll onto the side and cough. Rabia gives them some space sitting back on the stool. Sabine props themselves up on their elbows and fixes Rabia with a hard stare. You have something to say? Rabia taunts, say it. This is your final opportunity, because after this, she laughs, no coming back. What's the point? Sabine breathes heavily. She does not listen to criticism of the great Yatagan project. Rabia collects herself, speak. She folds her arms and waits to be convinced. Sabine takes a breath, organising their thoughts. They go to start pause, then decide on another approach. Eventually they say, Yannick is a traitor. Rabaya immediately flinches, her eyes going to her prosthetic arm, her muscles clenching, but she rides it out, more eager to prove Sabine wrong than she is to hurt them, at least for now. When I came here from S&ARP, they glanced at you, gauging your reaction. It was Yannick who was the one of the first to support me, to look after me. I should have known then, but I was naive and afraid. Sabine turns to you. Sleeper. They take a breath. I know that I should have told you I worked for S&ARP long ago, but I thought you would abandon me, and you are my final friend. Okay. What you should know is that I left S&ARP because I was running for my life. I leaked documents on the sleeper program, on the illegal and immoral practices it relied on to the press. S&ARP wanted me dead, and I fled as far as I could to this refuge at the edge of the surrogate systems. Sabine stops to collect himself. What does this have to do with Yannick? Rabaya interrupts. The sleeper knows you are at S&ARP, I told them, and while you hide beneath the cover of being a whistleblower, you and I both know you worked on the sleeper program. Yannick told me as much. Sabine's face falls. It is true. They glance at you and then away ashamed. They lift their head, but it is Yannick, not me, who is in the pocket of S&ARP. Rabaya flinches again. I can prove it. He made some kind of deal to keep me here, to tie me up in the debt, to lock me away in exchange. Rabaya slams her hand on the desk. Just tell us, for God's sake. In exchange for those, Sabine finishes, nodding towards Rabaya's prosthetic arm in its cradle. He has been using Yelagani forces, using you as test subjects for S&ARP technology. I have the data to prove it. He has been bringing them in under the guise of stolen shipments and having me fit them, knowing each one is capturing data and sending it back to its makers. Rabaya's fixed expression has started to fade. Sabine produces a slate. It's all here, thousands of hours of usage data. Failure rates, error dumps. These are untested implants, Rabaya. They could short out, fail, cause cascading failures across a person's body. And they have. Sabine suddenly looks incredibly tired. I thought the error rate in the units was down to them being stolen or modified. I have tried to fix hundreds of failures in my time here, not all of them. They stop, unable to continue. Rabaya closes her eyes and breathes in. Then she opens them again. She holds out a hand to Sabine. Show me, she says. Later, much later, when you leave, Sabine is still talking Rabaya through the manifests and usage data. Both of them crowded around the terminal as Sabine takes Rabaya through each layer of Yannick's betrayal. As you leave, Sabine catches your eye, and something passes between you, something like a thank you or a sorry, or some other expression that communicates both sadness and hope. Upgrade point. I'm going to go for instant karma. Reroll all your dice once per cycle. Could be handy. The button's there now. But there's only just the one left for this cycle. Sabine and Rabaya have been holed up in her office for a while now. What are they planning? Gotta wait. The cycle clock. And not much I can do here. Gotta use up. Use it up. So now I've got 5 of Havenage data, and I've got a couple of Ripper worms. And where do they go? Fungus. I have an option there. That's not what I'm looking for. It's not started work on that yet. Over here, I can input 5 of these. I'll get a ship mine core for that. Wow. Okay, I'm out of dice. I'm ending the cycle. Look at that! Fortunately, I have an option to reroll. Better. So I need to think about what to help Rico's experiments. Hack. Toggle tracking. Hub. There's stuff to do here too. I'm not seeing the tracking icon there. Not seeing it anywhere. And I can't do this because I don't have the cipher yet. Build a home. I can work on that. This is where I do it, I'm pretty sure. Start making progress on the apartment. I'm just left with the 2 dice. Use that in there. Go home and then cycle. Alright, I got my dice. And I'm low on energy. Let's fix that. Continue working on the apartment. Focusing on it. Done. Have an upgrade point. Now what do I do here now? Oh, it's done. So a new home. I can inject stabilizer here, the sunbathe perk, the self-repair, feed a stray. There's signs that a stray animal has been nosing around near the unit. A handful of sheets for some crackers should bring it out of hiding. Feed a stray. You buy the crackers from a shop unit downstairs and crumple them up into a tray. Something moves in the shadows. The stray hops up onto a work surface and looks out of the unit's small window. A low-end cat. It doesn't acknowledge your presence, it just sits there beside the tray of crumbled crackers staring out at the low end. What is this cat's story? Are there more on the station? You haven't seen another in the low end, but in this vast megastructure that means little. There could be a whole colony of cats like this in the Warrens. You look at its sleek dark fur and sharp eyes. It doesn't look ragged. It looks like home. In fact, its presence in the unit makes you wonder if this is the stray's apartment which you're squatting in. Approach or watch? Watch. Though the stray is looking out at the station, you feel its attention on you, waiting for you to spring your trap. You remain relaxed and watch as something flickers in its eyes, perhaps the reflection of a passing ship. The stray settles a little and starts eating, picking at the broken crackers. You don't remember ever having been this close to an animal. It triggers something in you, a recognition of a life, totally unlike your own, but still somehow connected, parallel, even interwoven. The stray licks crumbs from its fur. Do you like it here? Were you born here? Stay silent. So we're going to talk to a cat. Do you like it here? The stray flicks their tail at the sound of your voice. It is hard to imagine the stray liking anything, or at least being vulnerable enough to admit to it, but the stray's pleasure at existing here in this place shines through its every sinew. It is not that the stray is always happy on the eye, but that the stray is engaged by this place. It is alive here. You turn your eyes to the window, the one that the stray looks out of, and you both watch the stars and the ships together. You feel something pass between you and the stray, a kind of acknowledgement of each other, a sense that each of you might share something with the other, a point of connection. Then all at once the stray yawns wide, hops down from the unit and brushes along your legs, and then it is gone, out through the unit door and back into the corridors of the low end. So, new home. Feed the stray is repeatable. If you buy the crackers and put them out, the stray will always come. That doesn't mean they like you, though. They are a cat, after all. Sometimes they'll let you stroke them, sometimes not. Alright. I don't have a quest going on here. I think I gotta wait. Well, the Sidereal departure is coming. Risky. Gonna start working on this. Weightless Wanderer. Hey, Stuart! I'm out of dice. Oh, I got a new home now. And the cycle. Good. Reroll. Better. As you enter Rabia's office, you hear voices. Is that Sabine? You push open the door. Sleeper, what good timing, Rabia calls out as you enter. I wanted to introduce you to someone. The man is standing at the centre of the room, speaking quietly with Rabia, and he turns as you come in. Meet Yannick. Sleeper, he nods. I'm hearing good things from Rabbi. He smiles an easy smile. Good to meet you. Rabia, stay silent. Rabia cuts in. The sleeper has been running patrols in the ward. They know how we run things. Yannick raises an eyebrow, his eyes concealed behind tinted glasses. You feel his stare even if you cannot see him. Actually, Rabia places a hand on your shoulder. The sleeper was what I wanted to talk to you about. She doesn't spare you a look. What is going on? Well, okay then. Yannick tucks his hands into his pockets. Go on. I'd like to recommend them to your ward. A tiny pause. They have shown themselves to be a capable ally here on the spoke side, but we have more than enough to run our territories. I hear the main block is proving more difficult. Yannick leans forward slowly. It's a mess, Rabbi. He waits, his tinted glasses shimmering despite the lack of light in the unit. I can use them, he suddenly decides. Rabia smiles. Good to hear. I can immediately. Yannick cuts her off with a raised hand. 1 second, he steps one surprisingly light step closer to you. You eager to work, sleeper? Yes. Yannick nods his head as if listening to music. Okay then. You suddenly are unsure if he is talking to you. That concludes it, Yannick pronounces. Sleeper can come work in the ward any time they like. You shoot Rabia a confused look. Rabia finally glances at you for a moment, but it is so fast you almost miss it. Good, I know you'll be happy with that work, yeah. Yannick reaches out and squeezes her shoulder. Sure, Rabbi, he says. Now please, he says, turning to face you, let us old friends get back to it. He guides Rabia away, leaving you standing alone. You look to Rabia, but she is deep in conversation, and so, stunned and confused, you leave. New drive. The ward. Which is patrol the block. The massive block at the centre of the low end is made up of layers and layers of units. Patrolling this vertical city is a challenge. +1 danger option. Eventually complete it. Yannick's trust. Yannick is a strange character, but he seems to understand the value of hard work. You'll gain his trust with time. So there's options. Expose Yannick. So that forms part of that. And I gotta get working on it right away, I think. 2 max dice. Is good progress. And for the remaining die, there is a crowd, but you spot Lem and Mina immediately as you enter the dock. They are anchored like everyone else along the viewing platform, watching the final stages of the Sidereal Horizons loading in preparation. Lem. He turns and searches nervously through the faces to see who called. Then he spots you and a weak smile passes across his face. You move up and join him on the platform. We decided to come watch in the end. He nods at the sleepy-looking Mina, whose bright eyes are locked on the yellow hull of the Sidereal Horizon. Meanie wouldn't let me stay away. I'm glad. Lem smiles again. I wasn't sure if I'd see you up here. Mina turns to you and flashes you a small smile too. You three watch the ship for a while in the same hushed state as most of the crowd. All the anger seems to have faded out of those who didn't make the crew. Perhaps down in the low end the timbre is full of angry workers drunkenly denouncing Celis, but up here the atmosphere is reflective, somewhere between a funeral and a ritual. You seem to have a lot on your mind, friend. Lem puts a hand on your shoulder. Want to tell me what's been bothering you? I'm worried about you. I made a mistake. No, I'm good. Us? He reflexively strokes Mina's head. Don't worry about us, he turns away from the ship to face you. If you think this is the worst we've been through, then you are wrong. Lem puts Mina down beside him. She kicks off, glides to the viewing window and presses her nose against it. You know, there's been plenty of cycles where I thought Mina would be better off without me. Who am I to decide her life for her, to drag her through? He gestures around at the eye, all this. But when I see her smiling, I see her dealing with things, making fun out of nothing. It reminds me that she's the one dragging me through. This is her world now, and who am I to decide it isn't good enough for her? You ever heard of the three-body problem? Nope. It's a physics thing. The idea is that once you have three bodies moving in space, affecting each other, the results cannot be predicted. It's chaos. Lem starts trying to demonstrate with his hands, wheeling them around each other as he speaks. That's how I see us, me, Mina, and, well, you now. We are all bodies in space, and we can't see how that's going to work out for us. But the important thing is we are all affecting each other, right? It's not just one of us calling the shots, making the decisions, shaping the others. Each one is equal, pushes and pulls, and is pushed and pulled in turn. And maybe there are other bodies too, right? The Eye, Esther, a few units down, other kids, other systems. Hell, the whole Helian solar system's itself. And some of these bodies have bigger forces, bigger effects. But none of them, not one, can totally dictate the movement of the others. So the whole thing keeps spinning and going, and in the middle of it is us three, and everything we do has an effect, a real effect in the system on each other. And if we move together, push together, hell, maybe the effect can grow. Maybe chaos can help us. He stops suddenly, noticing how rapid his speech has become. He drops his hands to his sides. Well, that's it, he laughs. I understand. Lem nods and turns back to watch Mina as the docking clamps release on the sidereal horizon. A tremor goes through the watching crowd, but no one speaks. Mina, suddenly scared, kicks off from the windows and glides back into your arms. She settles there, the lack of gravity meaning you can't feel her weight, only the grip of her small hands on your clothes. Then the sidereal horizon leaves, the spectacle of a vast machine doing the job it was built to do, hypnotizing half the crowd into stunned silence. But despite the scale of the endeavour and your part in it, you can't feel proud or even impressed. What you see instead, as Mina clings on to you for comfort, is that the same system Lem just described for you, in it the sidereal and the Celis Foundation are as vast as a sun around which millions of other bodies orbit. Their scale is terrifying and the breadth of their influence impossible to conceive. Yet here in this small nested system of Lem, of Mina, of you, of the Eye with its orbits and transits and the people that are linked to it, those vast forces can be countered. They shift you, yes, and the people around you, but they do not negate the pull of friendship, the orbits of community. And the sidereal moves away from the dock. You think of the bodies on it, those thousands of cryo-sleepers that, like the person you once were, have given themselves over to that system. You imagine each of them has their reasons, their dreams, their fears, but you worry for them. You worry that they have shackled themselves to something so much bigger than themselves that it would crush them without a thought. The thought makes you bring Mina closer, holding her too, and as you do, Lem puts an arm around you both, and you stand together like that for a while, until the bright spots of the sidereal horizon's drives have faded into the dark, and it is time to go home. It's finished! A jump over the age game. Created, designed and written by Gareth Damian Martin. Well, I got the credits. And obviously this game is going to have multiple endings depending on the choices that you make. Multiple choices. Depending on which branches you take. So this game is definitely one of those games where you can do more than the one playthrough. So yeah, I'm going to think about also jump back in and make some different choices next time and see where that goes. Fairly interesting game. Or it doesn't end. A strange choice. Kester stands beside you at the rail, watching the pinpricks of light from the side rail horizon's drive disappear. But perhaps not unexpected, you turn to look and Kester is beaming at you with an unsettling warmth. Aren't you angry? What do you want? Kester rolls his eyes. Please, sleeper, we know each other by now. I only wish for you to exercise that strong drive of yours. If it happens to align with my own, then that is pleasing to me. But if it does not, I cannot punish you. What about the side rail? What about the sealess? Kester looks out to the stars. I will do my best to follow its progress. He pauses. The sealess foundation is of more concern. Sundara Sealess has taken a step back from the public eye. It seems some internal struggles are playing out within their pristine halls, Kester's eyes, but I doubt core politics are of much concern to you. Kester moves down along the rail. The eye, though, that seems to be your primary concern, am I right? I have unfinished business. It is my home. I still plan to leave. It's my home? He smiles broadly. Then we are fellow residents. He seems pleased. This place has been a good home for me. Though like all places, it has its phases. Do not idle here too long, sleeper, unless you wish to be once again caught in the movement of systems much bigger than yourself. Kester turns and starts to clunk away in his back boots. I will be keeping an eye on you, if you don't mind, sleeper. He waves as he walks. My curiosity remains piqued. Once he leaves, you stay a little longer at the rail, watching the stars, thinking about all those people out on the side rail horizon, drifting towards an unknown future. Alright, so it continues. And we have the credits. But the game continues afterwards. Minus outcome. Well, I'm out of dice. Let's go to new home. Feed the stray, see what happens. End the cycle. And I've got 33 minutes on the clock, and see you next time. And this game looks like it's continuing.